There is a quiet, brutal pattern killing product teams right now, and it is not a bad roadmap or a missed deadline. It is the moment a team tries to change how the whole company works alone, without an executive in the room. That is the story Teresa Torres and Petra Willy just laid out, and it is not the only one today about how, when you remove the right kind of friction, everything actually gets worse. We are also going to look at why AI is turning your code review into the most important strategic meeting you're not having, and why the next big design framework says you should treat every AI output like a guess your reputation depends on. But first, that burnout story. Teresa Torres and Petra Willy just put a name on something a lot of product leaders feel but cannot articulate: DIY change fatigue. It is the burnout that hits when a product team tries to force a new way of working, like continuous discovery, across an entire organization without real executive air cover. They laid out 3 conditions that have to be true for any change to stick. First, the team has to feel the pain of the current state. Second, there has to be urgency, a reason this cannot wait. And third, there has to be awareness that a better way even exists. If you are missing any one of those, especially the executive sponsorship piece, what you get is a team that burns itself out, pushing a boulder uphill. The fix is not a bigger process overhaul. It is starting small, tweaking personal habits in a way that makes the new way visible and desirable, so the pull for change comes from results, not from a slide deck. And here is where it gets practical, because Torres and Willa are not just diagnosing the problem, they are pointing at the exact escape hatch. The way out of DIY change fatigue is not to stop trying to improve, it is to stop trying to do it alone. They argue that the most effective change agents inside a product org are not the ones who rewrite the process handbook. They are the ones who change their own behavior first, in tiny, visible ways that make other people curious. You start using a new decision-making habit in your own squad. You share the result. You do not mandate it. And when the executive sponsor finally does show up, they are not forcing a framework on people. They are removing the obstacles so the thing that already works can spread. That flips the whole dynamic from a compliance exercise into a pull-based movement. And it is the difference between a team that quits and a team that scales. Now, shift to something that is reshaping where the real product decisions get made. AI is dissolving the old linear software lifecycle. You used to have a clean handoff: design, spec, code, review, ship. That line is gone. AI tools are injecting themselves into every stage, and that turns the whole process into a multiplayer game, where the most important strategic touchpoint is not the roadmap doc, it is the code review. Code reviews are where product sense, engineering judgment, and AI output collide in real time. A team that treats the pull request as just a bug check is missing the point. The teams that treat it as a live negotiation of what the product should be, with AI as a participant, are the ones shipping faster and building things that do not crumble under edge cases. This is not a developer workflow story. It is a product strategy shift hiding in plain sight inside a diff view. But there is a catch, and it is a big one. AI coding agents are only as good as the rules you actually enforce. Builder.io just published something that should make every product and engineering leader pause. They found that when you give an AI agent a massive prose-based design document, a long written guide full of your brand colors and component rules, the agent ignores it. It is too much, too fuzzy. The agent slips right back into legacy patterns, reintroducing old colors, wrong hooks, accessibility bugs you thought you killed 2 years ago. The fix is not a better document. It is encoding those design rules directly in the codebase as constraints that fail the build if they are broken. Make the rule a test. Make the violation a red screen. That way, the AI does not have to read your mind. It just has to pass the check. It is the difference between a suggestion and a guardrail. And for teams shipping with AI agents, it is the difference between velocity and a cleanup sprint that never ends. That idea that you need to treat an output as something to verify, not something to trust, is about to become the core of how you design every interface. There is a new framework called Probabilistic design, and its starting point is blunt. AI predictions are guesses. They are weighted signals, not facts. The framework argues that every interface that shows an AI output should also show the confidence behind it, and every product decision that relies on an AI output should have a fallback path for when the guess is wrong. This is not theoretical. The Air Canada chatbot fiasco, where the bot made up a refund policy and the company had to honor it, is the poster child for what happens when you treat a probabilistic output as a deterministic truth. For product teams, this reshapes everything from how you display search results to how you automate support. You stop building for the happy path, where the AI is right. You build for the world where it is often wrong in ways that matter. And we end on something that feels small, but is not. There's a piece walking through 3 micro interactions in digital payments that decide whether a user trusts you or leaves and never comes back. It is the loading spinner after they hit send. It is the confirmation screen that does or does not show the exact amount and the last 4 digits of their card. It is the split second after the button press where nothing seems to happen. These are not engineering details. They are design decisions that carry the full weight of user trust. Get them wrong, and you do not just get a support ticket. You get a user who hesitates at the next checkout, or a user who tells their team not to adopt your product. The article makes the case that these moments are the real retention battleground, and that the teams who treat them as first-class design problems, not back-end edge cases, are the ones who win the long game. So what today really adds up to is this. In a world racing to automate everything, the most dangerous thing you can do is automate the wrong thing, or automate without the right human in the loop. Whether it is change management without an executive sponsor, code generation without encoded design rules, or an AI chatbot that speaks with false certainty, the pattern is the same. The fix is not more process docs. It is putting the constraints where they cannot be ignored and treating every output as a signal to be verified. For product teams, that is the difference between building fast and building something that survives the week. That is it for today. I will see you in the next one.